I mean, this idea that you do budgets right up against election campaigns means we don't get a good budget. We get an election pitch, but not a good budget. Let's go to that welfare bill, Andrew Stone, including the spending to NDIS. We're now talking about a budget bill, a welfare bill of $221 billion. That's more than a third of the total budget, 6 times what we spend on defence. That's not sustainable.
No, it isn't. And it's also, in a sense, I agree with what Terry was saying a moment ago, and you were saying that it could have been a whole lot worse with this budget. But figures like the one you just quoted about the welfare spending versus the defence spending are a measure, I think, of how this budget has missed the mark in terms of the seriousness of the situation that we face. So in terms of our defence situation, we face a much more difficult situation than we have faced in 50 years. And yet there was no urgency about defence spending, and yet we're finding tens of billions of dollars more every year to pump into welfare spending. In the same way, there wasn't a sense of urgency about the debt problems that we face and the deficit problems that we face. You've spoken about how there are deficits as far as the eye can see. Just again, to put that in perspective, we'll be recording our 14th deficit in a row this year, and we've got another 4 predicted. That makes 18 deficits in a row. Now, after the early 1990s recession, which was incredibly severe, unemployment rate got above 11%. We only had 7 years of deficits, and one of those was tiny before we got back into surplus. So this idea that we can just keep going, spending this huge amount on welfare, just spending on everything that we think of, that we'd like to do, and then just assume that we'll be right, we're going to come a real cropper.
And of course, we haven't got all of those baby boomers into retirement, which will push those numbers up.